forward every single day. Thank you.
Thank you all for this wonderful questions. I'm going to take a point of privilege and echo what David said about Radford's spirit. You all are amazing. Our next question just focuses on challenge. And so I'd like for each of you to think about what is the city's greatest challenge and how would you try to address that challenge? And we're going to let Jessie answer this first.
Okay, well, when I hear about challenge, I think about, as a candidate, what challenges I faced going into this, because that directly impacts the challenges, of course, in the city when you're the one in the leadership role. And I can say that you don't know what you don't know. And when I was elected, what I did know is that there were a couple populations I wasn't exactly sure how to represent properly. And one of those had been our police department, another had been our firehouse, EMS, and ambulance. So I started hanging out with them a little bit, as in every 3 months, whether they liked it or not. So I would go and ride out with them. We'd be out till 3 o'clock in the morning, and I would take notes and ask questions, and then I would go back to our meetings and lobby for things that they needed, because I could see it firsthand and therefore explain what they needed. So I really see, every city has its challenges. We're not unique in that way, but I think how you address those challenges as a city and also as a candidate makes a huge impact. So, if you're running for office, show up at events. Be a part of advisory boards, committees, councils. Because truly, your biggest challenge is what you don't know. So be as informed as you can, and if you don't know enough about it, take the lead and educate yourself. And so I want to give a shout out to both chiefs for putting up with me, because those were two of my projects, if you will, to educate myself on, and they've been so grateful. So, the city's going to face challenges. It's how we address them financially, economically. Our reserves are looking good. We have a lot of projects. We have a lot of grants. I think the grant funding is pivotal. We have some tough demographics here, but we also, with those demographics, have a lot of opportunity that all of our departments have been taking advantage of. Thank you.
Thank you. And let's go to, Bobby.
Probably one of the biggest, challenges I think we have are the homeless. We've got homeless people here, and I know in my church I help out at the food ministry, and they come in there and they want food, but we give out like 3 boxes of food to people. But people are in cars, you put them in there, but the homeless come in there. They don't have an automobile. They're living in a tent next to the river, and my heart goes out to them. They're homeless, have nowhere to go. Now I think about it. We have shelters for animals. We have animal shelters. You take an animal down there, first thing they do, they give it lodging. They give it food. They give it water. They give it love. And they give it the things that we all need. But the homeless, they have nowhere to go. And and they come in there and they want to know, where can we go? And really, we're pretty knowledgeable about churches that help out things that, but when we offer them, ideas, they always tell me, we tried it. They can't help us. A lot of times they have to move. They're on private property. They have to move and they have nowhere to go. It's going to be getting cold here soon, and my concern is for the homeless. And I know a lot of times people say, well, they're addicts and they're this and they're that, but they're people. And I think we should pray for them and think about alternatives to help them. Thank you.
Kevin?
So as I said before, my background is auditing and doing things as a bank, and so I think one thing I'd like to focus on, I hear a lot of wants and needs, and I'm going around Radford, people want fixed roads, and they want a new high school, and they want things that cost money. And we have some tough times, I think. I think there's some things coming down the road that are going to take some revenue that maybe we weren't expecting. And the pandemic took a lot out of us, but we persevered for sure. So I want to stick to my wheelhouse and make sure that we're looking at the budget, making sure that expenses are going where they need to go, make sure that our revenue is, we're getting the most that we can. Make sure that all of the committees that work so hard are getting with the council, and we're all working together to make sure that we're on the same page. So I think that's one thing that I would like to focus on.
David?
Well, we do have a tremendous number of challenges. The greatest challenge, in my opinion, is working to create a robust and sustainable economic ecosystem for the city of Radford. That attacks a lot of the things that we've talked about. It can help provide jobs and revenue. It can help provide additional tax support and additional monies to help homeless problems, to help fund the schools, to do many things that we need as a city. It's challenging and in an evolving time because we have struggled with some of the traditional industry that had been in Radford, trying to maintain or find new industries that can come in. I am proud that we brought hundreds of jobs to the city over the last 4 years through wonderful organizations that are already here and brand new companies like Orlanzi and a wonderful new development in Food City. But those are the things that will help us to sow the seeds for all the other areas we need to focus on. And much of what we have tried to do as a council and as a city government is to sow those seeds, to work on the areas that need to be addressed. The East Main project that was mentioned, that's crucial to try to help attract and retain businesses. Trying to make Radford a place where people want to spend time, whether it's for a day, a week, a month, or a lifetime, is crucial to moving us forward. Working with our housing stock. Seth mentioned that he's on the Planning Commission. Working with that group and working with our code enforcement and code development, we have worked to reimagine some of our neighborhoods here in Radford. And there's been a lot of housing investment and new housing stock that's come online. So all of those pieces help us create that robust and sustainable economic ecosystem as we move forward. Thank you.
Chad?
One of the challenges I think be a bigger challenge is, like I said earlier, finding a way and a means to not only bring new business to Radford, but to keep them there. I also think that we have a challenge of, and I don't see this personally, because I have no children, but I see the youth in other places who have no place to go, nothing to do, and they end up getting in trouble. So I think a challenge that eventually will make it to Radford is finding a place and a means for the youth to have something to do after school during the summer. Thank you.
And Seth?
Yeah, so I'll echo a little bit onto what Kelly said. I think, moving forward, we do have to prioritize our needs over our wants and make sure that, as we budget, that we're budgeting for 10 years down the road and not just for tomorrow. We took on McCarg, it was needed, and I support that. I think within the next 10 years, we'll probably have to look at the high school and some other, I think there's some really big, expensive expenditures that the city will probably have to look at, and if we aren't fiscally responsible, it will be a challenge to meet those. So I hope as a council that we're planning ahead and that we're planning for the future. Another issue that I think that, and it's been kind of noted on, is housing. Radford's limited in where it can grow, so making sure that we really get the developments that fit the needs of this community is imperative. And I think that with Planning Commission, we've really looked at that and tried to look at places that could benefit from that. Gloria Villas, it has been a nice addition to Radford and some things like that. I know that there are populations that would like to age in place, and so looking at single family housing and places for people to reside and work here are a challenge, but something I think we can do.
Thank you all for that. Our next question touches just a little bit on our economic resources, and you all have talked about that a little bit. And the question is, given limited resource and the loss of both police officers and teachers, what can the council do to recruit and retain police officers and teachers in Radford. And we're going to start this question off with Chad.
Thank you for the question. I have my ears ringing, so you can please speak a little bit louder.
Oh,
I have
absolutely.
I mean, I have a hard time hearing all the way down here.
That's okay, I'll use my cheerleading voice.
Okay.
And I'll repeat the
Oh, yes,
question.
thank you. I
Yeah,
appreciate it.
I'll repeat that for you. So given our limited resources and the loss of both police officers and teachers, what can the council do to recruit and retain police officers and teachers in the city?
Thank you. I believe the city of Radford could find a way to encourage other places to maybe come in and give advice on how to retain teachers and police officers, and also to possibly, raise the income of these two groups of people. I believe that you give them the opportunity to be on council, I could at least bring it to the attention of more than just, our city council. I could reach out to other places and maybe get advice on what they would do in order to retain police officers and teachers.
Thank you. David?
Thank you. We've really spent a lot of time working on this, and I'm going to address it in two different ways. So with our police as well as our other public safety employees, we've worked to try to improve the quality of their experience when they work with us through training, equipment, facilities, everything that's needed to try to make their time on the job and their time doing what they need to do as positive as possible. We work very closely with our administration, with our chiefs, and with our folks that need to make those decisions. The other piece we've done is work to be competitive with salaries. Now again, when we talk budget, that's always a challenge because dollars spent one place have to come from somewhere else. That's where the robust economic ecosystem is so important because that helps give us new revenue to be able to support those areas. The same applies to teachers, but in a slightly different way, and I certainly defer to our school board and school administration on that. But I think also showing our support as a community, working to try to make sure that the environment in which they exist is as positive as possible. So from a council perspective, we have worked with our partners on school board to continue to work on facilities, to address issues